In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is blood politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is blood politics.
Three, two, one. What do you say we just jump right into it? What's up, gang? How are you guys? Make sure you hit that like button. Welcome back to the show once again. I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are probably like, bro, you did 2 shows yesterday, right? You were on for over 3 hours yesterday. You couldn't possibly have put together another full show for us today. But how wrong you could be, my friends. But like I said, before we get into the craziness, what do you say we say hi to the chat? What's going on, guys? What's up, Nick? What's up, Willie? What's going on, Laser Sword? What's going on, Jesse James? What's up, Tiff? How's everybody doing? Let's friggin' go. Another day. Today is Thursday, March 12th, 2026. You've made it this far, and congratulations for doing that, because boy, is it crazy out there, okay? We got to talk about some buffoonery, some ongoing craziness, all eyes on the oil prices again. Iran continuing to hit back, war costs skyrocketing. We got a ton of stuff to talk about. What's going on? I appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you to everybody over there on Facebook. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Thank you to everybody on Twitch. Thank you to the mods all over the place. You guys are fantastic. Wouldn't be here without you guys. So, and the best chat on earth is the Blunt Politics chat. So welcome, everybody, one and all. Make sure you hit that like button. Like I said, ton to dive into. We got clips today from Tim Pool. I just couldn't let it go. I know we talked about it last night, but I just couldn't let this clip go. So we got Tim Pool. We got clips from Jesse Waters on Fox News, that fucking absolute twat. We got CNN, we got BBC, we got Joe Rogan, clips from Jen from I've Hip. What is it? I've Had It podcast. Excuse me, I combined the I Hip and the I've Had It, but what are you going to do? You know what I'm talking about. We got a ton to talk about, ton to dive into. Once again, I appreciate you guys in the chat. Evie's on. What's going on? What's up, Yakov? Forever Young, what's going on? Yeah, Dim Tool. I couldn't let it go. I really could not let it go. We talked about it last night. I kind of briefly mentioned, the clip in the segment that we'll be taking a look at. But again, it's too fucking on the nose for him to be like, listen, now there's people in the government and in the cabinet trying to get World War III bunkers like before they're even ready, like, post-haste here. You know what I mean? So that's funny that he got these people in charge and is kind of like trying to report from the sidelines that they're now like trying to get into World War III bunkers, like we've heard of any one of the cabinet members have now been shielded and sheltered. It doesn't seem like they have things under control, to say the least. But yeah, we'll be diving into that. Like I said, Trump releasing 172 million barrels from the strategic reserve. The IEA also releasing 400 million. Like, people are just going crazy right now, trying to, again, do anything they can to get these oil prices down, to get the gas prices down, and it's just not working. So let's dive into, what do you say? I think this first thing that I got up there is this what I want to talk about, because Iran's new leader, Khamenei, apparently put out a new message, or his first message, I should say, as the new supreme leader. But before we get into like the cost and the prices, I think we should probably dive into this just a little bit, because again, the issued threat to the U.S. and again, what has taken place, I think is very telling. I mean, when you go into this, we don't really have to read the whole thing. But, when he talks about that his wife, let me go into this, because it talks about his wife, his daughter, and a few others were killed in the attacks. So does this sound like somebody that's going to be like favorable? It's going to be friendly to the United States going forward? Let me see. It says he's issued his first attack since the bombing of the United States killed his father. And then it goes on to say here, it also confirmed his wife, one of his sisters, his niece, and the husband of the other sister were also killed in the airstrike. So again, does this seem like somebody that's going to be like, again, ready to work with the United States and continue negotiations like they were doing? Or is this somebody that probably isn't going to be too happy and is probably going to do anything and everything in his power to strike back against Donald Trump and the United States for these attacks and Israel for these attacks? So again, we don't really have to go into the whole thing. I'm sure you could pretty much, read into what he said or what the message was as far as, not tolerating the United States and Israel's attacks and what they're going to do in retaliation. But again, I just kind of wanted to point out what also took place there, and that, when you take out somebody's family, when you take out somebody's sister and their wife and the niece, like, doesn't really tend to lead to like a friendly relationship. Again, just further looking at the instability in the region, even if we were to pull out right now, regardless of the goals met or not met by the United States government. Speaking of the United States government, here's one of the more ridiculous things we have to go through before we dive into like the cost and oil prices at this moment right now. But this is, again, one of these ridiculous propaganda videos put out by the White House. And again, it just shows the complete lack of humanity, the complete lack or care for human life. We're just being run by a bunch of childish, moronic idiots that don't have anything better to do and care nothing about, again, the cost of a human life. But again, this is put out directly by the White House, again, to the world. People see this and they're like, what the fuck is going on over there, U.S., huh? You guys being run by what is happening? I don't know. But this is labeled strike. And basically what they're trying to do is kind of equate the Iranian leadership and probably the citizens that they've been killing with like bowling pins. And again, we took a look at the other one. I think they were trying to mimic like a Call of Duty video. They've put out a bunch of this shit. It's horrendous. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting. It's degrading. It dehumanizes all of the human loss that we've seen in this conflict thus far and going forward. To be clear, I mean, it's just I don't know. There's so many different words that we could use that it's tough to come up with the singular one that describes it the best. But check this out. I think there's copyright songs on it at some point, so I'll probably have to cut the sound.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And you got it!
So we won't stop making nuclear weapons again with AKs on their back trying to represent the Iranians. And again, I'm going to have to shut the music off so I don't get copyright. But again, you can hear Freebird in the back as they've continued to use. And you can see here Iranian regime officials up top, and they're set up like bowling pins here. And then you got the United States of America bowling ball coming in and knocking out the pin. It's just like, it's childish. It's ridiculous. It's like third grade shit at this point. Like just the worst use of AI you could possibly think of. It's not even good U.S. military propaganda. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll fucking rightly say, hey, you know what? There's a piece of or pieces out there of U.S. propaganda for the military that are pretty well done. You know what I mean? That aren't over the top, that aren't like, praising the killing of innocent civilians and, equating, actual people to bowling pins and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I could go out there on a limb and say that. But this right here is this is ridiculous. Okay. This is insanity. This is what happens when you're led by like complete and utter morons that are bloodthirsty, just neocons, and have no, again, regard for human life. This is what inevitably comes from that. And again, they just kind of intermingle the footage of, or different pieces of footage from different strikes that they've had engaged in with the, the bowling setup and the music of Freebird behind the scenes. But again, just to kind of give you an idea of like how seriously or unseriously the White House and this regime has taken it as far as the Trump regime in this country, I think you get a pretty good idea based on the different videos they've been putting out. And again, this is one of several of these ridiculous propaganda pieces that they've put out that, again, have made people cringe all over the place. So, but again, other things that are making people cringe is this that we need to dive into. We've talked about the cost of war. We've talked about the secondary impacts to you and your wallet. We've talked about the first 2 days and how much we expended there. We talked about the first week and how much we expended there and how much you could guarantee that's going to continue to go up. We've talked about the amount of weaponry and equipment that have been expended and destroyed that have cost the U.S. taxpayer dollars. And then we look at this, where the estimated U.S. cost since the strikes began up about roughly just about $18 billion. And again, this is, I would say, on the very low end and doesn't factor in a bunch of different things. Again, this is after 12 days, 14 hours, 10 minutes, and 21 seconds of war. And again, this is not factoring in. People have readily come out since then and said the cost is probably more like or around $3 billion a day, as opposed to $1 billion a day, as the war ticker here would continue to have would continue to tell you. But again, that's kind of people doing their speculations, and I'm sure all of those are on the low level. I'm sure all of those are conservative. When all said is done, I'm sure the number is going to fucking make your eyes pop out of your head if it hasn't already. And again, it goes on to say Iranian military killed over 2,094. Iranian civilians killed 1,255. Over 12,000 Iranian civilians have been wounded. And I'm sure, again, that's on the low end. This also doesn't talk about or take into account the over 1 million people that have been reportedly displaced in Lebanon now between, the attacks between Hezbollah and Israel on the ongoing feud there, the secondary impacts, again, of this, the strikes in Iran that we've talked about, how this spread and will continue to spread. We've talked about how now there was a strike on or an attempted strike on a UK base, apparently with a Russian missile. So again, you can see how this would kick off very quickly if in fact people wanted it to, or that was their intention. So we continue to watch this rise as your daily life gets more difficult to obtain. And this is one reason and one thing that we've been looking at. You guys were very nice to kind of keep me posted on this last night. We saw somewhat of a drop based on Donald Trump's sentiment, based on the Donald Trump's remarks and rhetoric that he had come out with. But again, now that we've continued to see strikes and, a tank is on fire, cargo ships on fire, whether it's in Iraq or the Strait of Hormuz, we've continued to see the reaction by the market here. And now the WTI at 95, Brent at about 100 here, Mervin over 119 at this point. So again, you can see the quite steep rise that we've seen again from the reports and from the reality on the ground of the Iranians still having the ability to attack and control shipping, and also to attack not only bases but other areas in the region as well. So as much as Jesse Waters is going to try to tell you that, and Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and the rest of these fools are going to try to tell you that they've pretty much eliminated the totality of the Iranian military and their capabilities, again, we continue to see evidence. We continue to show you evidence that is not the case, and it couldn't be further from the case. Again, we've also talked about that wouldn't take much from the Iranian military to continue to, impact the world economy the way that that we've seen. So here's another aspect of the war that we continue to see. So not only have we spent, I'm going to say probably around $30 plus billion already in this war. But now we have to sit here and take a look at the daily lives of the American people get ever more difficult to obtain when you go into the gas pump. And of course, that's going to be affected in all of your daily lives, because we know that trucking and shipping and fuel is related to how you get the groceries to the store. It's related to how the clothes get to the store before you buy it. So again, you don't think the companies are going to eat these, costs on top of what they thought that they were getting, right? It's not going to happen. They're going to pass it down to you. They're going to pass it down to the American taxpayer, and you guys are going to have to foot the bill eventually. You know what I mean? And we've already talked about how the energy department is talking about how we're not going to see gas prices stabilize. Some have suspected till April, right? Some have suspected even further down the road. It could be. Obviously, we're coming into the summer months now. We know that typically, historically, gas prices rise during the summer months. So the fact that, Caroline Levitt and the rest of these people are out there telling you that, all the prices are going to come down is just complete and utter horse shit. Okay. So I'm sure you guys know that. That's why you're watching the show, because you're smarter than that. You're very much smarter than that. But yes, I just want to make sure that everybody knows just how much we're spending on this and the reasons why you're now paying more at the pump, just so you know. And here's another thing that I wanted to dive into. I know we were talking about this, where the U.S. is to release 172 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve as prices surge, again showing the kind of the panic that has set in and the scramble mode that the Trump regime is in right now to do anything and everything. I think we've seen something like 30 plus countries say that they would kind of release oil as far as the reserves were considered. I know the IEA also with the 400 million barrels and the 172 million barrels here from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But again, it just kind of shows you how they didn't have this planned out. This wasn't an impact that they saw coming. And now they're scrambling behind the scenes because of the sentiment, not only fucking here in the United States, but around the world because of what's happening, because of the ramifications that we're seeing now. And now they're trying to do anything behind the scenes to fix that and alleviate the issue, for the short term. And again, even this, I think it says it's going to be about 120 days. It says right here, Wright said the release would begin next week, but would take about 120 days to, quote, deliver based on planned discharge rates. So this isn't like snap your fingers and everything's going to be better type of situation. Still going to be, multiple months here before you even see the delivery of that Strategic Petroleum Reserve and the 172 million barrels that apparently Donald Trump is releasing to try to alleviate, again, the price at the pump to make sure that the approval rating of his doesn't crater even further like we've seen. But, like we continue to tell here at Blunt Politics, the lies that the administration is telling you, as far as their capabilities and what they've wiped out and failing to acknowledge again, Iranians' capabilities and what they can still strike, the Shahed and the drone problem that we still face right now, their ability to strike inside of the Strait of Hormuz, their ability to continue to strike the bases, to continue to strike inside of Israel. I mean, there's something that they're not even referencing. They're not even bringing up. It's kind of like regime change now as one of their goals. It's just not something that they talk about, not something that they state anymore. And it's something that they won't acknowledge as far as the impact that we're now seeing in the retaliation from Iran. And it continues here. Here's just a couple clips from OSINT Defender. I figured we'd go through this, see if we can catch up on the last kind of 10, 12 hours or so, see what happened, see if we missed anything, if you don't mind. This is, I found this to be wild as well. He posts here, crazy footage obtained Wednesday outside of RAF Fairford in Gloucestershire, England, showing ground crew members with U.S. Air Force in full view of the public unloading missile delivery systems from and loading GBU-31 2,000-pound Joint Direct Attack munitions. That's going to be onto the B-1B Lancer long-range heavy bomber for future strikes in Iran. Again, showing you that this continues to ramp up. The 2,000-pound bombs is definitely not to take out a person or leadership. It is to cause, mass destruction to either, civilian infrastructure, military infrastructure, whatever it may be. But again, these are the types of things that are happening in broad daylight. I kind of like OSINT Defender, found that to be somewhat wild. You'd think that would be done in, a hangar or behind closed doors or something like that. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not the way it typically takes place as far as that's concerned. But, there was a couple of other things that we wanted to talk about. As far as this is concerned, they released footage of strikes on Iranian ballistic missile and drone launcher systems, saying we are eliminating Iran's ability to threaten American forces and regional partners through lethality and precision. But again, they're putting much more emphasis and are barely even discussing the drone threat, which again, I find to be a big fucking red flag as far as whether or not they're aware or even care of the threat continue to be posed, or if they're just going to lie and propagandize the entire fucking time out of this. But there was also more instances to show that Iran has the ability to continue to strike back. This video here shows the moment that the Marshall Islands flagged Safe Sea Vishnu was struck by an Iranian unmanned surface vehicle off the coast of Basra last night. See if we can just jump into this clip real quick. Take a look.
الله اکبر الله اکبر انهدام نفتکش امریکایی در محدوده شمال خلیج فارس.
So there's a fire on that one, as you can see, burning there. Iraqi firefighters and port authorities have managed to control and extinguish the fire on board 2 oil tankers targeted earlier tonight off the coast of Basra, identified as the Marshall Islands flagged MT Safe Sea Vishnu. A Malta-flagged Zephyros were struck by an Iranian uncrewed surface vessel while conducting a ship-to-ship transfer within the territorial waters of Iraq. Again, just showing another way that the Iranians can inflict damage like we've seen them continue to do. Here's smoke scene rising from near the U.S. consulate in Erbil near northern Iraq following a significant drone attack earlier by Iran. Again, showing their ability to target specific targets still. I don't know what this music is. I apologize for the music. But again, you can see the smoke rising up in the background there. So again, just instances to show you that Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, and the rest of these morons are just blatantly lying to your face, about the capabilities and effects that we've, kind of not allowed to happen, or that the Iranians still have under their belt in order to, again, affect shipping, to affect the global economy, to affect what you're paying at the pump, to cause casualties, to cause damage to military bases, to take out military equipment. I mean, all of these things we're still seeing, but it seems like Donald Trump would love to have you believe that we've already, achieved complete and total victory at this point. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth says it's just ramping up now. Marco Rubio says one thing. Lindsey Graham says we're going after the entire world. Like, you don't know which way to look at this point. I understand that much. But let's see here. Here was there was one more of these videos I thought that I had here. Maybe not. Maybe there's a couple other ones that I had pulled up here. I kind of took the Benny Johnson approach here. I feel like I have way too many Twitter things pulled up here. I feel bad. But here's another moment from Clash Report. Let me put this on the screen. The moment that the U.S. linked oil tanker Safe Sea Vishnu was hit in the northern Persian Gulf after allegedly ignoring warnings from Iran's IRGC Navy. One Indian crew member was killed. Let me see if we can take a look at this real quick. That's crazy. I thought it was a different angle. It's the same angle that we just saw, but that's the same one that we were just talking about there. So you can tell that this is not only widely reported, but we continue to see, Iran's ability to strike back. Speaking of striking back, here's somebody that I would love to strike back on. Oh boy, would I love to. Let me throw this up on the screen because I don't know if you've seen this, but this is Fetterman on with News Nation, basically begging for more killing by the United States, begging for more of the Iranian leadership to be taken out, begging for the new leader of Iran to be taken out at this point. Again, what destabilizing effects would that have on an already destabilized region, in an already fucking uncontrollable situation, in an already chaotic situation that we have going on right here? But this is him. I don't know who the anchor is at this point, but this is where he says that we should kill every last member of Iran's leadership. She says, well, his son is now in charge, and Fetterman returns, well, they should kill him too. Again, what an absolute maniac this guy is. Get this guy out of politics as soon as fucking possible, okay? Like, I'm talking last week, last month, last year, this guy should have been removed. He is a psychopath. He is an absolute psychopath, and he's probably got the silver beeper that Benjamin Netanyahu gave him sitting right in his pocket right now. This sick fuck. But this is a short clip. I just wanted to play this just to kind of further illustrate the decline of John Fetterman and how trash this fucking guy is as a human being. I mean, what an absolute piece of shit. Check this out.
You are confident that the world is better after the death of Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei. But his son,
100%.
Kill
every last member of their leadership.
Well, his son is now in charge, and he's considered even more of a hardliner.
Well, they should kill him too.
Oh, well, maybe they will.
Yeah, maybe they will. Well, awesome, you fucking. He sounds like the left's Lindsey Graham at this point. He sounds worse than Lindsey Graham at this point. Just out there calling for bloodlust, out there looking for fucking people to be killed. Out there looking for more fucking, chaos to ensue from this. Out there looking for Americans to pay more at the pump, considering what the effects would be from that if we continue this. I mean, this guy has just, I understand that you guys know, I know this isn't like breaking news by any regard that fucking Fetterman has lost his shit, right? But again, it just continues to get worse and worse. And every time we think we've seen the bottom of the barrel as far as John Fetterman and the fucking, the brain rot that he has, right? Like the Beepo, we thought the Beepo was probably the most disgusting. Like, how could it possibly get worse than that? His fucking undying love for Benjamin Netanyahu and what fucking, the government of Israel has perpetrated, right? His unwavering support for a genocide. Like, you thought it couldn't get any worse. But then he's out here, like, literally sounding worse than Lindsey Graham. And we've played a bunch of Lindsey Graham on the show in the last couple of days, so you know what Lindsey Graham sounds like. It's like world domination or fucking nothing at this point for Lindsey Graham. Somebody should really take the cocktail out of that guy's hand before he gets on in front of a camera. It's getting fucking embarrassing. It has been for quite some time. But Fetterman, man, it's, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's tough to think that we're going to get anywhere if we still have fucking monsters on our side of the aisle thinking like this. You know what I mean? And people still taking AIPAC money and money from Palantir and money from the fucking Israeli lobby in general. Like, how the fuck? I know it's. Hold on. I know. What's this? What are you guys getting? A little piece of the computer. I don't want you guys seeing the computer. That's not what I want you to see. I don't know how that moved. Anyway, what I'm saying, I'm glad that got me off of Fetterman. That's got. We'll use that as a break from Fetterman. But here's the next thing that I wanted to take a look at, because this was Jen from the I've Had It podcast, and she has a little update. And again, this was an update that I thought we were kind of going to get yesterday, but this seems to be a little bit of a little bit of breaking news here as far as Donald Trump and the Epstein files are concerned. I think this was put out this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, just a few hours ago. And it's titled Massive Epstein Files Hack Revealed. Lying Ted Cruz does not want you to see this. And again, just to break up the coverage ongoing with Iran as far as this is concerned. Let's see if we can dive into a little bit of this. And I think this is about the Reuters reporting from the other day, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I wanted to check into it with you guys. So let's see if we can dive into it. Appreciate you guys.
Some explosive news coming out of Reuters yesterday, and it is that the Epstein files were hacked in 2023. Pop this headline up, Kylie. Exclusive: foreign hacker in 2023 compromised Epstein files held by FBI. Source and documents show.
So you know what I thought of immediately that I had just seen when I thought of this, when I saw this Reuters reporting yesterday? I thought of this. Let me see if I can pull this up, because did you guys see this at all? This was released by the Iranian embassy. It says in The Hague, and they posted this video, and I want you to see what you guys notice in this video. I want you to guys, and I know it's a ridiculous AI, whatever video, but just notice, just look closely, watch closely, and tell me what you guys notice in this video, and we'll discuss it after. It's only about 30 seconds long, but let me see. And again, this is supposedly released by the Iranian embassy in The Hague, as far as Krasenstein post is concerned. But this is what it reminded me of. Check this out.
We have no issue with civilians.
Why did you attack the Manaf school?
Go on, lie, 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 lie. We didn't hit the Manaf school. America doesn't have Tomahawk missiles at all. We care deeply about the Iranian people.
So again, almost like a fucking punch for punch with the dumbass White House videos that have been coming out, right? But again, did you guys notice? Did you guys catch anything in the chat? Did you guys catch anything? Oh, I think LD did. Few people look like they did. But let me see if I can rewind and see if you guys, did you notice this at all when they were pushing the button? What do you guys notice here? What do you guys notice there? What does it look like, that little crystal ball or whatever? What's it say on that little crystal ball up in the top left-hand side there? Huh? Looks to me like it says Epstein, right? We got a button for mock. We got a button for damn. We got a button for lie. We got a button for kill, right? But if you look up in the left-hand corner, looks like we got a little thing, big ball there. It says Epstein. So, I thought, Now, the Iranians are well known for hacking, right? They're well known for their cyber activity, right? Could it possibly be that the Iranians have something or know something that we may fucking really want to see as far as evidence linking Donald Trump or, close Trump affiliates or anything like that with the Epstein files? I don't know. Maybe they're just using the news. We're just here to speculate, I guess, at this point, because nothing's been released as far as I can see. But again, upon seeing the reporting there and being reminded by Reuters of what took place, it was kind of interesting. I was like, I do remember that video that I just saw did have a little ball in it that said Epstein. So are they trying to tell us something? I don't know. I'm just saying. But let's get back into the Jen's video here.
So Representative Ted Lieu has some analysis here, which I think is spot on. Pop up his post. A foreign hacker likely has the Epstein files. The best way to prevent blackmail of government officials such as Trump and Howard Lutnick would be for Pam Bondi to stop the cover up and release all the Epstein files as required by law.
So there's Ted Lieu saying that it is very likely that a foreign hacker has the Epstein files. Now, would the fucking real foreign hacker please stand up? Because now is your fucking moment, okay? Why you would kind of be waiting, I don't know. Like what you're waiting for, I don't know. But now is when the world is fucking ready and chomping at the bit and drooling and frothing at the mouth to have this information released so we can see some justice and accountability. So right now would be the time, whether you're a foreign government or you're just some fucking, foreign group or whatever, then hacking's what you do. Let's go. Speed it up here. Let's go.
So let's think about this for a second. Somebody, some foreign entity, and this isn't probably just some individual hacker. This is probably some spy agency, Mossad, etc. So who has the Epstein files? Who has the copies of the Epstein files? And that's a really important question. And so I go back to the timeline of 2023. Why wasn't this announced then when Biden was president? During the transition, why wasn't this leaked that, hey, somebody got hacked into the Epstein files and there's compromising information about the incoming president in these files and he's very susceptible to blackmail? Like every time I look at this whole thing and why we're here being governed by this abuser, Donald Trump, incompetent, dementia-ridden abuser, I'm always like, where are the guardrails? Like just a year and a half ago, Joe Biden was president. They were transitioning. Did anybody set up any for this thing? And we're all just kind of out here like, thank God.
Good question. If the leak was known and there was possible information, dirt out there about the incoming president that a foreign fucking government had because of a foreign hack, like, I think that's pretty pertinent information. Like, I think that's pretty important information that you'd want to get to the bottom of, that you'd want to make sure what it was, who had it, what it entailed, if there was crimes involved, it could be used as blackmail. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to think that, any dirt on Donald Trump could be widely and broadly used as blackmail to hang above the guy's fucking head. And he'd probably do and give you anything to make sure that that didn't get out there, much like we're seeing now with the cover up by his regime.
Massey and Kana were able to get bipartisanship support to get what we have released. But then when you look at the way Trump rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin and stood there after he walked in a curvy line because dementia, they can't walk straight, and he claps like a seal, and he has our military that MAGA is so like, oh, we just respect the military so much, on their hands and knees rolling out red carpet for a war criminal. So does the former KGB agent, was it a Russian hacker that went in there and got it? Was it Mossad? Or one could argue that Jeffrey Epstein, a lot of people argue that he was a Mossad agent, that Israel already has all of that. So this is just really, really stunning, but it makes me question if we ever get power back. It's not only grilling all of these criminals surrounding Donald Trump, every single one of them, but also grilling the Biden FBI and DOJ and transition team that we're just now finding out about this. In 2026 is utter insanity. Was Congress briefed that
I don't think she's wrong. I don't think she's wrong. You know what I mean? Questions that need to be asked as to why this didn't, happen, why we didn't know about this, why the questions and investigations didn't take place. I don't think those are wrong questions to be asking there. But again, as to who has the dirt on Donald Trump, it remains to be seen. It could be any one of a number of players out there, like we just talked about. I mean, it looks like everybody's got dirt on this guy by the way he acts, by the way he's so fucking, ready and willing to kiss the ass of autocrats and dictators around the world, and to not reach out and extend a hand to our allies at this point. I mean, we've been speculating on this for quite some time. So to see the Reuters reporting that the files were indeed hacked, and it looks like, by indeed a foreign government or a foreign entity at that, it kind of begs the question as to who has it, what they know, what they're using that information to get, or who they're holding that information, over to get more out of this. to get better leverage on the United States, to get Donald Trump to do all of the things that they want them to do, even though it's not for the best of the United States. It's not for the best outcome of the American people. Questions that need to be asked, obviously. But I digress. We'll go on here to our next kind of video. Like, this is, again, there's so much that we have to get into. All these people are just so stupid. So stupid. It's crazy. It really is. Because like I said, we got Jesse Waters to dive into. We got Dim Fool to dive into. So many of these people. Let me see here. Yeah, we got that. Oh man, so much. All right, so I'm laughing at myself because we have so much idiocy to fucking go over. Here's just one of the pieces of idiocy that we'll have to dive into here, because this was a wild conversation here, and people are kind of, I think, doing a little too much to give Joe Rogan credit as far as this is concerned, because this is about the one and only time that the guest on Joe Rogan's podcast is somehow looks more gross and disgusting and sounds more like he's protecting pedophiles than Joe Rogan does on his own podcast. So again, the egregiousness at which this guy is so fucking quick to try to defend and slap away any of the evidence that we fucking found out about the death, the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein, obviously the cover up of the files. Again, leads kind of Joe Rogan down no other path but being like, what the fuck's wrong with you, dude? But again, even Joe Rogan won't go far enough to kind of pinpoint and finger Trump in the way that he should be pinpointed in this, as far as being the ringleader, as being the reasoning behind, the cover up of the Epstein files, obviously his long-term friendship, all of the details and information we know about their, coercion together, their friendship together, their relationship together, and the buddies surrounding them. So again, it doesn't take much, but I think people are doing a little too much here to give Rogan credit, because in this same episode, he does more than enough to go back after Democrats and give Donald Trump and the Republicans a break and not point the finger back at them for what we're seeing now. So I wouldn't be, too quick to pat him on the back for anything that you see here, because he is, again, directly responsible in at least some form or fashion for what we're seeing right now as far as this regime, because he helped propagate, he helped the propaganda spread, he helped put him on the show, give him the platform, gave him the praise, didn't call him out, didn't ask him the tough questions. So again, Joe Rogan directly responsible. This is Too Lazy to Try. We always love his coverage of things like this. So this is Joe Rogan gets into heated debate over the Epstein files. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but there's a couple moments in this that I feel like we should watch here, because it just shows what a pedophile protector looks like. And that's, again, this guy. I forget this guy's name. I think his last name's Schellenberger, if I'm not mistaken. Supposedly, from what I've heard or read, that he's one of these, I was a liberal, the Liberal Party went crazy, or the Democrats went crazy, now I'm a Republican type of people. If I'm wrong about that, again, at right hand accountability, I don't know much about this guy. I do believe his last name is Schellenberger, though. So let's dive into this video. This is Too Lazy to Try. Again, going over Joe Rogan's heated debate over the Epstein files, and people, again, kind of a little too quick to give Rogan credit as far as this is concerned.
Examiner said that he broke his hyoid bone, and the hyoid bone is not usually broken in hanging.
Let me see. I probably says this guy's name in the. Let me see here. Does it say the guy's name? No, it doesn't say the guy's name. Something. I think it's something Schellenberger. Do you guys know in the chat? Let me know if you guys know in the chat.
It's only in strangulations. Actually, it is broken in hangings, particularly for older people.
Broken in 3 places.
Yeah, and that's like,
and it's low on his neck.
Yeah, and that happens.
Also, the lady who was the guard deposited money into her account.
I saw that, but that doesn't. What does that mean?
Okay, well,
in other words,
she also Googled his name before he died.
All that's totally
okay, but
it's like, let me Scooby-Doo.
Why are you dismissing? I don't understand why you're dismissing this. Because if you're
not dismissing it, I'm saying
so Rogan's kind of given all the pieces of evidence and pieces of information surrounding the kind of the nefarious nature of Epstein's death, the things that happened that took place. We learned about his cellmate that tried to allegedly take his life 18 days prior. You know what I mean? So, but this guy does everything possible to kind of swat these down and kind of make it look like everything's on the up and up. There's no questions to be asked. There might not even be a crime committed here, as far as this guy is concerned, if you ask him. Apparently, like 1 year was enough for his sentence, and people can be rehabilitated. Like every piece of propaganda that you could think of that like a pedophile protector would come out and say, this guy had fucking down pat Okay, this guy had them all. Like, he must have been practicing in the mirror the night before, knowing he was going on Rogan with all of this bullshit, because it even to the point, like I said, it even makes Joe Rogan look good, right? And you know how hard that is, how difficult that is of late to do. So fucking, that's how fucking disgusting this guy is.
Well, hold on, you are.
Yeah, but Epstein tried to kill himself. I don't think there's any doubt about that, right?
I don't know if there's, I've never seen him say it, but I do know that he said that guy tried to kill him and they found him unresponsive 18 days before. He said that guy tried to kill him.
And couldn't he have lied about that?
Was trying to get money.
Couldn't he have lied about that?
All right, so it looks like Joe Rogan finally realized he actually can push back against his guests. You know, for a while it felt like he was on cruise control, and when he was asked about his Cash Patel episode, he even said, "What am I going to do? Push back?" But recently, he hasn't shied away from arguing with his guests, which makes this podcast so much better. Like, some of the best episodes were some of the most contentious ones. So there is still a little bit of hope for Joe, especially because now he's also really starting to question Trump's decisions.
He's gone, my friend. I know you guys, you know, a lot of these people are, in fact, themselves kind of Rogan stands that have been kind of disillusioned and pissed off with the direction that he's gone, but he's gone, brother. It's over. It's a wrap. Sayonara, forget about it. He's too in deep now with these people. You know, he is one of the elite. He'll never be able to call them out in the appropriate ways anymore. He has become what he hates, right? All the things that he railed against in his podcast, all the people he despised and said he would never fucking hang around with, and, you know, didn't want to be a politician, and how they're all grimy. And now all of a sudden he's fucking buddy with every single one of them. He's got a bank account, you know, to match all of these fucking greedy motherfuckers. Right. So he's just one of the buddies now. He's one of the bros. So obviously he's not going to be able to call out these bros in the way he wanted to, or would, again, if he wasn't so closely affiliated and associated with these same fucking people. So no, he's gone. Again, all it takes is about 10 more minutes of listening to any podcast. Even if he does make a good point, if you listen for another 10 minutes, you're guaranteed to be like, oh, okay, no, right, okay, that must have been a fluke. The fact that he said before, that must have been Jamie pulling up a fact, because it sure wasn't fucking joke. And you know, considering what he just said now, you know what I mean? Because he's still as quick to fucking rail against Democrats. He's just as opposed of calling out Donald Trump in the way that he should be called out. He still doesn't do that. He still tiptoes around, you know, J.D. Vance's involvement in this, and Elon Musk, right? And, Peter Thiel and all the fucking people he loves to have on his podcast. Never calls him out for the fucking egregious and criminalities that they're involved in, but loves to sit here and do this.
Like attacking Iran. He definitely isn't happy about that. In the beginning of this episode, he was talking
Michael Schellenberger. Okay, Michael Schellenberger. That's his name. My apologies, because I do believe we were reading a Substack of Roger Schellenberger, so I didn't want to get the two. Mixed up there.
About it with his guest, Michael Schellenberger, who was trying to convince Joe that Israel's influence had nothing to do with Trump striking Iran.
I get a kick how he just literally one day was like, you know what? I'm just not going to put myself on camera. I'm just going to be George Costanza. Every time I talk, I'm going to put George Costanza on the screen, and that should work. And it has. Fucking A.
Iran, which is wild. Like, the gaslighting is off the charts here. I mean, we have senators saying Israel made us do it. Marco Rubio basically said Israel got us involved. Trump said Jared Kushner, who's really close with Netanyahu, told him to attack. But Michael Schellenberger thinks Netanyahu doesn't have any influence on Trump. It's incredible.
But I think Trump is...
And again, this is the moment where people are trying to kind of trip over themselves to give Rogan credit, because he does seemingly here seem to question the fact that Donald Trump doesn't have people pulling the strings behind the scenes, right? But this is, again, doesn't acknowledge. It's almost like the similar fashion, I think, of like the Tim Pool video that we'll be talking about, where, you know, he's trying to kind of like report from the outside about people in the cabinet now wanting World War III bunkers because of the instability, the chaos, and, you know, the probability that they're fucking, that we're going to feel some fucking repercussions here on the homeland. Like, apparently considering what they're thinking and what they're doing. But apparently, like, that's the same way of thinking, because he's directly responsible for this, right? You are directly responsible in part for what we're seeing right now. You helped get us to this point. You railed against Kamala Harris. You railed against Democrats. You had Donald Trump on the show and didn't ask him the tough questions. You sat there and kissed his ass for 3 hours or whatever the fuck it was, right? You were part of the bro sphere, the bro system that did the same exact thing on all of their different podcasts. You are responsible for this. So you don't get to just sit there and from the sidelines be like, well, you don't think somebody's pulling the strings on well, guess what? That'd be a guy pulling the strings on the person that you voted for, okay? The person that's having his fucking strings pulled is the guy that you believed all his bullshit. The guy that you took your fucking dumb, bald ass to the fucking polls and voted for. And didn't ask the tough questions and didn't care about his affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein. Didn't care about the 30,000+ lies he told in the first fucking regime he had. Didn't care about the way he fucked our economy in the first place in his first term. Didn't care about the 1 million+ Americans that died as a result of COVID and Donald Trump's mishandling of that pandemic, right? Didn't care about any of the other bullshit. Didn't care about January 6th or any of the fucking things that we could talk about. But now all of a sudden it's like, well, let me just see. Don't you think that somebody could possibly be pulling the strings? Well, what do you think? They just fucking lowered the strings? You think they just created the strings? Or is it more likely that those strings have been there and people have been pulling them for a long goddamn time? Because that's much more likely, in my opinion.
Charge, like he's making these decisions. There's nobody behind him. There's nobody pulling for all of that. You know, the Russians or whoever, or these now the Israelis. You know, it's just he's clearly. I mean, Elon gave him $250 million, and he still. He didn't give him even the electric car credit, No,
he gave him access to the fucking federal government database, you stupid son of a bitch. I think that's a trade-off Elon was willing to make. Hey, you might not get the EV fucking mandate, but hey, how about I give you access to you and your little fuck buddies to everybody's social security numbers in the fucking database of everybody in the country? How about that? Is that an even trade-off, you think, for the fucking 300 mil or whatever Elon put in? You think he's going to get enough money off the back end in the government contracts that would suffice maybe not getting the EV contract? What a dumb motherfucker. You got to be the dumbest motherfucker to sit on Joe Rogan's podcast and defend pedophiles, again, in a seat where multiple people have already been fucking called out for doing the exact same thing, not even to the level that you're doing it at right fucking now. But to also come out and say this bullshit, is like, come on, man. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Obviously, Rogan's going to look like he's going to look like the smart one in this conversation when you got this moron on the other side. But again, the extent of Joe Rogan's pushback is to come here where he's like, well, you don't think it's possible? It's kind of mealy mouth. But again, it's more than he's known for, I guess, which is why people are trying to give him credit.
Like Trump is in charge, I think that's...
No, he's not in charge. That's very fucking clear that he's not in charge, okay? He doesn't know a goddamn thing about a goddamn thing. It's more scary to think that he is in charge, okay? That's the scary fucking part. He doesn't know how many ships the Iranian Navy has. He doesn't know his fucking shoe size. He doesn't know his ass from his elbow. He doesn't know shit. He doesn't know shit, apparently. Okay, so the fact that you don't think there's other people behind the plays, other people behind the, the screen here, behind these closed doors, pulling strings, telling him to do this, that, and the other thing, and he's just stupid enough to do it, is again another reason why, another example as to how stupid this guy is.
One of the big lessons from this,
but just seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
Well, but he said he's against.
So again, that is pretty much the extent of the pushback. I think there's maybe a few other sentences he throws in there, but for the most part, that is the extent of the pushback. Like, it doesn't make sense. He lied to us. But again, saying that you were lied to by Donald Trump and you believed his lies is got to be the most humiliating thing you could possibly say. Got to be one of the most humiliating things that you could possibly say in front of a fucking camera on microphone. Are you shitting me? That Donald Trump lied to you and you believed his lies? You were the dumbass person that was like, yep, yeah, I think he's telling the truth on that one. I really do think he's the president of peace. Like, you know how fucking dumb you have to make yourself look to say that?
Endless wars.
Well, they're
against
all,
endless wars.
listen, man,
And then this guy comes back with, no, he said no endless wars. No, he said no new wars. He said no foreign wars, no dead Americans on foreign soil. We weren't going to interject in any foreign wars. He was going to be the president of peace. He said all the bullshit. He didn't say one thing. Jesus Christ.
Did you ever hear Rumsfeld talk about Iraq when it first happened?
Tell me.
They were talking about like 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy was just getting cooked in the comments. All the top comments are like 5 minutes in, and it's clearly apparent who this person's handler is. Is this guy on Netanyahu's payroll? And it's gotten to a point where I don't even trust anyone that comes on here. And I used to trust this guy, but now he sounds like Kash Patel. And maybe they should send someone whose last name doesn't end in Berger or Stein to tell us Trump's making decisions on his own. So nobody was buying this BS, and Joe wasn't either. He started pressing him a little. And at one point, Michael says, well, they don't have anything on Trump. which is kind of a weird thing to randomly say. And Joe's like, well, how do you know that?
Again, I think this is one of the other instances in this kind of discussion in which people are trying to, again, like Too Lazy to Try It. I'm saying I do think Too Lazy to Try is giving Joe too much credit in this regard. But again, I think this is one of the other places here where people are trying to give him credit.
So even Joe seems to think that Israel possibly has blackmail on Trump. And Michael says this stuff like it's an absolute fact that Israel isn't influencing him and there's no dirt on him, which kind of makes it seem like there are people that told him this or there are people that want him to say this. But Joe is not going along with it. And he even communicates with Trump and has been trying to give him the benefit of the doubt in most situations. But with this, he is not on board.
Trump's doing what he wants to do. And we should.
You really think it's that simple? Trump's doing what he wants to do. That's it?
Yes.
You don't think people are influencing him? Because there's a lot of war hawks around him, right? There's a lot of people that want this and
Tucker
have
was in
for
there,
a long
right?
time.
I mean, Netanyahu's in there, but then Tucker was in there a bunch.
But do you think
making the case against it?
Tucker has the kind of influence that Netanyahu has?
Well, I mean, I guess if you just base it on the outcome, then the answer is no.
No.
But that's what I'm saying.
So where were these questions, Joe? Where were these questions when you originally had him on the podcast? Where was this like, hey, you seem to be very chummy with Benjamin Netanyahu. Is there anything that we should kind of know about that relationship between you two? Is there a reason that you're going to be probably more pro-Israel than you are pro-America in this regard? No, none of those questions were asked by Rogan when he sat down with Trump.
I think he listens to everybody, but I just don't think it's Russians aren't behind him. Israelis. I mean, Trump is. Look what he's been through. I mean, he's got where he is. There's no way he's gonna. They don't have anything on him. That's
How
my
do you know
view.
that?
I don't think they have anything on him.
But how do you know
behave
that?
way?
What do
Well,
you-
he
in what
could,
way?
but I'm not. We don't see any evidence for it.
Well, you wouldn't see any evidence until it broke out. Until
Sure.
they released it.
Yeah, and we'll get it. I'm sure we'll get into Epstein, but I mean, I just think when you don't have evidence of something, then you can't assume that it's happening. I haven't seen any evidence. I've seen evidence that Trump is fully independent, with it, particularly this case of Elon.
Again, the delusional nature of this guy is just kind of fucking, it's almost too much to take in at this point. Like I said, we don't have to watch this whole thing, but you can kind of see the mealy mouth response, the mealy mouth pushback that only makes Rogan look stupid, right? If he's going to continue to be like, hey, this is a possibility, somebody could have dirt on him, you know what I mean? Hey, is it possible that people are pulling the strings behind the scene? Well, you put that guy in power. So you put a president in power that you knew it was possible that somebody behind behind the curtains could be pulling the strings, and it's not actually him making the decisions. Or are you just now coming to the realization that the guy lied directly to your face about every single thing that he said he was going to try to accomplish in this regard? But it goes on because it's not even the only one as far as that's concerned. There was a couple other ones in here. His Jesse Waters. Let's see if we can do some calling out of this douchebag. One of the dumbest, one of the kind of, I don't even know what you'd want to say, one of the more frustrating people that is now on news. One of the most punchable faces on fucking news networks right now is Jesse Waters. And this is him trying to do his best to try to get a W out of this, trying to make it seem like we've completely obliterated the capabilities of the Iranian military. And again, as we've gone on to show and as we'll continue to show, that's just not the case. So let's see if we can call out his horse shit here. Again, more alpha, big boy. Let's fucking show the strikes and let's do this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, not showing the strikes in retaliation. Meanwhile, not showing the damage to the U.S. bases. Meanwhile, not allowing the breadth of damage to be kind of shown in and around Israel. But again, that's what they try to do here on the propaganda network. That is Fox. Yeah. We know. Yep. We know you're killing people. That's great.
Here's CENTCOM Commander Brad Cooper.
Just yesterday, we had strike waves nearly every hour from different locations and directions going into Iran. We also took out the last of 4 Soleimani-class warships. That's an entire class of Iranian ships now out of the fight. I'd characterize our strikes as being unpredictable, dynamic, and decisive.
Every Iranian ship we see in the Strait gets sunk, and now every ship that's docked is dead.
That's funny because I've seen reports that it was the Iranian ships that are traveling freely through the Strait of Hormuz, and it was the other ships that were either anchored or getting struck as they try to travel or make it through that passageway, right? Doesn't seem like the reporting that Jesse Waters is coming out with there is what we're actually seeing on the ground. I mean, I know we've taken out the Navy, we've taken out the ships and stuff, but it does not in any way talk about the impact that the Iranians still have and can impact as far as using Shaheds, drones, and missiles to, again, strike these areas and territories. Not only that, but the ability that they have to kind of stick the middle finger up and have their ships pass through while everybody else is kind of anchored out there like, fuck, what are we going to do? We can't go through there.
Here, you see an Iranian Jamaran-class warship, a large patrol ship, a drone smuggler.
Yeah, this guy goes on. He talks about the strikes that they had in the first 2 days. Jesse gets a hard on, and this is where he comes in.
Iran to lay off the strait. But overnight, a Thai tanker got clipped along with 2 others. And now another tanker off the coast of Iraq was also just hit. Trump's responding. Central Command's warning Iranian citizens to leave all Iranian ports. So far, we haven't targeted Iran's oil infrastructure. It could get lit up tonight.
Oh, you know what? That should do wonders for oil prices, Jesse. That should be fucking just perfect for oil prices. I'm sure if we now continue, or at least start, as far as Jesse Waters is concerned, start attacking the oil infrastructure, start attacking oil bases and kind of refineries and everything else. That should do wonders for the oil prices. That should do wonders for the global economy. That's smart.
Operation Epic Fury is just about over 10 days in, and 5,500 targets have been struck.
And how much does it cost us? How much does it cost us?
Last 24 hours, Iran has only launched 9 ballistic missiles. 9. U.S. firepower is
wait, you're not going to mention the drone launches? You're not going to mention the attacks and their ability that we have seen to strike oil sites, tankers, U.S. air bases, allied region. Like we're just going to totally gloss over that. We're not going to talk about any of the effects and impacts that we've seen at all. See how we're talking about them glossing over the most important bits? Like nobody's talking about regime change anymore, right? The only person I've seen continue to talk about regime change seems to be John Fetterman. Otherwise, it's him and Lindsey Graham out there by themselves, kind of holding each other by the fucking what. But anyway, it seems like Jesse Waters here just loves to kind of dance around the subject, and like the propaganda network usually does, not tell you the truth on what we're facing as far as impacts, the economic impacts, the impacts to the bases. It just continues because they love to talk about the missiles. They love to talk about the missile sites. But never do they bring up the drones. Never do they bring up the drones.
Estimated Iranian stockpiles, and now we're pivoting and hitting their defense industrial base. A ballistic missile manufacturing plant just got popped. This is critical.
Well, don't worry, because it'll be back up and running in about 3 to 6 months. Maybe sooner, because it only took them about 6 months to rebuild their entire nuclear capabilities and their nuclear arsenal and their nuclear facilities after they were all obliterated by the United States. So these missile sites and factories should be up and running probably about now, actually. They're probably already still churning out missiles and drones at this point.
To the mission, disarm them and prevent them from rearming. The president telling—
How do you do that exactly? How do you do that exactly? Okay? Answer that question in the chat. How do you do that exactly? How do you make sure? What are we going to have, like another Treaty of Versailles? Because we all know what that led to. That was really stabilizing. That had no economic impacts or impacts on the world going forward. But how do you ensure that they don't have weapons? They don't have the ability to strike back ever. So that means we're going to have what? Constant boots on the ground. We're going to have, just year round, all the time, forever troops in the region to make sure that this doesn't happen. Or how do you suppose we go about doing this? Because again, if we obliterated their nuclear capabilities and in 6 months, they were already 2 minutes, 2 seconds, 2 weeks, 2 days away. I forget what now their story was, but we could only, go to imagine that even if you do, take out the missile sites, even if you do take out the missile factories, they're just going to fucking rebuild them, right? I mean, how do you stop them from rebuilding this shit without continuously being at war, without continuously having troops on the ground? It just makes absolutely no fucking sense where you could be like, we're just going to forever make sure that they don't have another missile. Okay? Just makes no sense.
See us that the Air Force is running out of targets. There's practically nothing left to hit. Certain targets we're saving for later.
We won, guys. We won. That's the W. That's it. Victory has been achieved. There's nothing left to hit. Meanwhile, we continue to report shit like this, like from the BBC. Let's see if we can pull this one up. This was BBC News. This is Iranian attacks reported on Iraq, Bahrain, and Oman. So apparently, according to Jesse Waters, we're all set. We've won. We've taken out. We can't even strike anything else. Apparently, we don't even have anything to shoot at. But BBC might think differently.
Oil prices have risen, at one point hitting $100 a barrel yet again as attacks on shipping continue in the Middle East. And despite
weird.
dozens of countries announcing...
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you must be mistaken because Jesse Waters just told us that there's not even another target to strike. We're all set. We've got the W. We got the victory. We've got 1 foot in Mexico already, 1 foot in Cuba. We got 1 foot in Greenland. Like, we're all good. Stop worrying about Iran. Everything's good. Don't worry about what you're paying for gas prices. You got to watch more Fox News, lady, apparently. Of course, I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding.
They would release record amounts of emergency reserves. In the latest attacks, 2 tankers were hit near Iraq. The Iraqi news agency reports 38 crew members were rescued and 1 person has died. 1 other ship, a container carrier, was struck off the coast of the United Arab Emirates, close to the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump said the US would look strongly at the strait, which is a transit point for around 20% of the world's oil. You can see here how the flow of traffic has ground to a halt since the conflict began. The Israeli military says it has carried out an extensive wave of airstrikes on the Iranian capital, Tehran, in what it calls a new stage of the war. Israel also says it stepped up strikes on the Lebanese capital, Beirut, and targets associated with the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. There've been a series...
So it doesn't seem to me like the wind down that Pete Hegseth or like the rest of these like idiots like Jesse Waters seems to like want you to believe is happening. Like we're kind of running out of targets here, people. We don't have anything left to strike. We've taken out everything. Don't worry about this anymore. It seems like we have to worry about it continuously. Not only that, but it seems like it's also expanding this war. The chaos is expanding as far as, instead of getting smaller, instead of, putting the toothpaste back in the tube, it's not happening. And Jesse Waters just doesn't seem to be able to grasp that.
In case they don't behave.
They've lost their Navy. They've lost their Air Force. They have no anti-aircraft apparatus at all. They have no radar. Their leaders are gone.
Man, it's crazy for a country with no radar to be able to be so precise and accurate on their strikes, right? It's crazy how that works. And it's crazy, even if they don't, how they still have the ability and the capabilities to strike these certain targets that they've been hitting. Again, with the help of the Chinese, with the help of the Russians, as we've seen. Now actively helping them pick out specific targets at this point. So again, you can see how this is now kind of spread as a broader conflict.
And we could do a lot worse to one another. We're leaving certain things that if we take them out, or we could take them out by this afternoon, in fact, within an hour, they literally would never be able to build that country back.
No one's seen or heard from the new Ayatollah. He's allegedly wounded, hiding in a bunker. And people think he has, quote, the charisma of a boiled potato. Soon he won't be able to pay his troops. Iran's largest bank was just hit in a missile strike. It's responsible for paying members of the Iranian military and the guard. The country's already in a currency crisis.
Now, does this seem stabilizing? Right? Does this seem like we're stabilizing the region? Does this seem like we're building economic partnerships? Right? Does this seem like we're going to have a better relationship with Iran going on in the future? Or are we going to, are we more likely to see, the conflict spread on, whether or not they call it a war, whether they try to say it ended or not? I mean, it seems more likely, again, with the deaths to the new leader's family, again, with the retaliations that we've continued to see, with the abilities that we've continued to see them have, even with the rhetoric coming from our side, continuing to tell us that, we've got victory in hand, overwhelming victory has been achieved. We got nothing left to strike. Their banks are in crisis. They got no this, they got no that. Meanwhile, doesn't seem like they need any of that. Doesn't seem like that seems to be a big problem on their end. Like I was telling you guys, right? They don't necessarily need all the capabilities of a U.S. military. They don't need a blitzkrieg type of fucking event. They don't need a siege of Leningrad type of event. They just need to be able to fucking lob these missiles, lob these drones into the Strait of Hormuz a little bit, lob them into fucking Israel, get past the Iron Dome. Seems like the Russians have been passing on intelligence, right? The same way that they know and have learned how to get around the Ukrainian air defenses using the Shaheds, the Iranian-made Shahed drones. Seems like they're now utilizing that intelligence and passing that information on to the Iranians, considering the uptick that we've seen in the success rate in their ability to penetrate the Iron Dome and continue to strike not only ships, but also bases and oil facilities, right? So that doesn't point to me to somebody that doesn't have like radar capabilities or targeting systems or anything left to their knowledge or left to their use, left at their disposal. Seems like they still have ample ability to do just what they need to do for everybody on the world stage to continue to feel the pain that they're feeling right now. So again, as much as they love to tell you what they've taken out, we're not playing the same game, right? Our objectives and the way that we need to obtain those or would have to obtain those is not the same way that Iran has to go about things, right? They have the ability for cyber attacks and cyber warfare as well. But again, they fail to mention all of the strikes that we've seen, all of the chaos that we've seen ensue, the capabilities that they've still had. It just doesn't seem to be mentioned, much like the goal of regime change is no longer mentioned.
Hearing some reports of desertions, and that could accelerate if there's no payday Friday. Trump telling Axios he can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And again, such a naive thing to think. And again, we don't have to watch any more of this fucking asshole anyway, but such a naive thing to think. And we've talked about relentlessly on this, how like Venezuela and the way that they look at their leadership and the way that their fucking, you know, their country works as far as the leadership is concerned, and the way that Iran and like the religiosity of Iran and the way that they look at their leaders is totally and completely different. So to think that just because somebody doesn't get a paycheck, or I think, to think that they're not getting paid to do that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to necessarily throw down their weapons, right? They're just not going to run away. I'm sure some might, some may, absolutely. But, I'm sure that there are going to be people that are going to want to fight for a family member that was lost, or for their religious values, or for their love for the Ayatollah, or whatever it may be. And money may be secondary in this, right? So to be that naive to think that, these people are just going to I'm not going to take money because Jesse Waters is so heavily concerned with just money because of the people he's surrounded by are only concerned about their fucking net worth and their self, how much their bank account, how many zeros are in their bank account. That's all they give a fuck about, the 1%, how they can cheat on their taxes, how they can cheat on their wives, right? How they can skirt the system, how they can profit from this, that, or the other thing, how they can scam different charitable organizations like Donald Trump and his family did. That's all they give a shit about. So they're going to look at it from that perspective. But the Iranians, and again, the religiosity of the way that they look at a leader over there is not the same thing. They're not looking at it as far as a dollar value or money in their bank account. Some might, absolutely. But again, to think that that's going to be the entirety of these, of the IRGC and the military is just going to be like, okay, fuck this, I'm not getting paid, is just very naive and goes to show the incompetency and the naivete of the fucking, of Jesse Waters here. All right, we dive on. Let's see what we got next, because we got this one here, which I just kind of referenced. This is CNN kind of detailing just how much Russia is working with Iran at this moment in time, and how nobody seems to be talking about this in the government. I think it was very early on in this war where Pete Hegseth was actually asked, hey, do you have a message? Do you have anything to say to China or Russia in this regard? And he said, no, they're not involved. They're not affiliated. I got nothing to say to them at this time. Well, what a fucking mistake that was, right? What an oversight that was. What a lack of intelligence that was, or just a lack of the intelligence that they had in wanting to tell the American people, considering the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. But here's CNN kind of clearly depicting what we've seen and speculated on as far as Russian involvement in giving advice on drone tactics, giving advice on being able to specifically target certain targets in the area. So again, listen up here. And again, remember, you're not hearing this from the government. You're not hearing this from anybody inside Trump's cabinet or the regime. They don't want to bring this up. They're not willing to talk about it. Pete Hegseth doesn't think it's a problem. And again, the phone call with Vladimir Putin the other day by Donald Trump, still nothing brought up about that. So I think, you can kind of read between the lines as far as what that's saying.
Russia is now giving Iran not just general, but specific advice on drone tactics against the United States. How concerned should we be about that? I mean, what should the U.S. be doing about that?
Well, greatly concerned, but not at all surprised. This should not come as a shock to anyone. The alliance between Russia and Iran has always been very close, and it's become crucially important to Russia over the last few years based upon their isolation from the rest of the world as a result of their unprovoked attack on Ukraine. So Russia depends on Iran. Russia is using Iranian military hardware, drones, all sorts of things to support their war effort in in Ukraine. They are not going to risk that relationship now. And all of a sudden, the tables have turned. They have something they can offer the Iranians, which is the benefit of their expertise and targeting capacity from their time targeting Ukrainians. It should not be a surprise that they are offering that intelligence to our enemy, because the Russians owe us nothing. We are not friends with the Russians. They are a perennial existential threat.
And again, not only are they giving this specific advice, but it seems to be having an impact, right? It seems to be having an effect, because we have seen an uptick with the amount of drones or missiles that have been impacting U.S. sites, U.S. military bases. We have seen an uptick in the amount of drones and missiles that have been able to get through the Iron Dome. We have seen a downturn in the kind of, the alarm time, the warning times inside of Israel. I think they were down to something like 2 to 3 minutes. I don't know if that's changed since that reporting. So, that kind of changes on a dime as well. So forgive me, that's the last reporting I saw. But you can definitely tell there was impacts not only to the U.S. radar systems in the area, but also impacts as far as the effectiveness and the tactics being used by the Iranians in order to bypass the U.S. air defense systems, or again, the Iranian Iron Dome itself.
So we should not be surprised to see them lining up against us.
We do have exclusive new reporting about the close partnership between Iran and Russia, something that is now potentially putting U.S. service members at risk in this region. Our Nick Payton-Walsh joins me now from Jordan with exclusive new reporting. And Nick, what more are you learning about this?
Yeah, we've known for a number of days that U.S. officials suspected Russia was providing general information assistance to Iran, the locations of U.S. bases, etc. But one Western intelligence official I've spoken to has gone a little bit further in terms of the granular kind of advice the Russians are giving. And to some degree, I think it would be chilling for U.S. forces to learn of this. Now, they say that while at the start, it seemed to be general assistance, they're now concerned at the fact that it now appears to be targeting strategies that Russia has learned in Ukraine that they're now giving to Iran. Now, that's key.
I think that's a big fucking deal, okay? I think that's something that the Secretary of War Crimes, the drunk himself, should be fucking on top of, okay? Should be keeping the American people informed of at this point, what they know, what the fucking relationship is, how much involvement they do have, what this fucking could say as far as broadening this conflict, what this says about, the relaxation of sanctions that we just fucking helped Russia with as far as trying to lower the oil prices because of the backlash that we've seen from this. Right? What about the buddy nature of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin? What happened on the phone call? Why was that so great? Why is more pressure not being put on Vladimir Putin, considering he's now actively helping the Iranians target United States fucking military service members, allies in the region, hamper shipping to affect change on the world economy? Like, why are we just allowing this? No statements, no nothing, no message. It's ridiculous.
Because what we've seen over the past days, Aaron, is obviously
thank you guys very much. Thank you guys, everybody that's been contributing. I know I suck at this self-promotional aspect side of things, but again, if anybody has $1 or $2, we hide nothing behind a paywall. We have no ads. We have no sponsors. The show will not be broken up so I could sell you some bullshit item that I've only had for about 27 seconds, but I'm going to tell you changed my life and you need it too, and all you could do is just use my fucking QR code and get 20% off if you just use hashtag Boston, some bullshit. I don't do that, okay? Nothing's hidden behind a paywall. My Substack is free. The only thing that I ask is if you are in the financial position to contribute financially, just please kick over $1 or $2. All I ask for, nothing, anything above and beyond that is 100% up to you guys. There's a Venmo up in the corner. You can become a channel member just underneath me for less than $3 for the month. I mean, that is well less than a gallon of gas at this point, I'm sure, wherever you are. But again, you can do all of those things to help, or you can send in, a super chat or a super sticker in the chat there. All of those ways go directly to help this channel. And again, I don't take money from anybody else to try to keep this thing going. It is 100% viewer funded. Again, we're not talking to corporate sponsors, ad backers, nothing like that. So appreciate you guys for helping me keep this thing going. To the mods and to the best chat on the internet, I appreciate you. And again, before I forget and before it gets too late, we all want to wish Masha good luck in her surgery today. We are all with you, Masha. good vibes, healing vibes being sent your way, all the love in the world from us here in the community. We love you, we appreciate you, and we hope you get the care that you deserve, and we know you're going to kick ass. You're going to come out better and stronger afterwards. So, Masha, from us here at Blunt Politics, good luck with everything. We love you, we appreciate you. Thank you for your viewership, thank you for your friendship, and we're right there with you, okay? I just want to make sure I get that before we forget there. All right, let's get on.
The low-cost drones that Iran's been firing, the Shahids, getting across the region and penetrating air defenses in the Gulf, hitting potentially US targets as well. Been a real threat. Now, what it turns out now this official believes is happening is that all the battlefield knowledge that Russians have had over the past 3 years, and they didn't specify precisely their concern, but this is what Russians have basically learned, is how to get through Ukrainian air defenses if they launch these waves of drones en masse. Sometimes Ukraine's subjected.
And again, it seems to be the tactics being used here and utilized by the Iranians. And you can see how this would be effective. You can see how this would be utilized in this specific circumstance, by the Iranians, and how they could utilize this information and exactly what we should be doing to try to combat that. The phone calls that should be made, the fucking pressure that should be put on them, the new sanctions that should be continuously put on them. Again, this is, an enemy combatant. This is an enemy in Russia actively helping another enemy in Iran help kill U.S. service members, help kill allies to the United States. So again, if Pete Hegseth doesn't step up and do something, it just goes to show you the kind of buddy-buddy nature, the friendship that they have with the Russians, and how far they're willing to let them go in this circumstance too. But let's see if we can dive into. I want to show you this first. Let me show you this first, because here's kind of just another one of those. Like, remember when we played the compilation of Donald Trump being like, I am the president of peace, no new wars, bullshit. Well, this is kind of along those lines. Chris Webb posted this on Twitter, and he says, "Mark my words, this illegal war is going to be Trump's undoing." And it's basically just a short compilation, about 30 seconds, of different Republicans showing their displeasure, let's say. Tucker Carlson kicks it off here. But let's see if we can just take a quick look at this. It's, like I said, short compilation of people not happy, even though they were quite supportive and quite sycophantic of Donald Trump at one point or another. But check this out.
This is not the United States' war.
My own feeling is no one should have to die for a foreign country. Our government's job is not to look out for Iran or for Israel. It's to look out for us.
I'm just going to be brutally frank. If it's going to be a hard slog, I mean, that was not pitched in the 2024 campaign. It just wasn't. We are going to bleed support. I was promised.
The fucking irony, and we'll go on to Benny Johnson in just a second, because I feel like that's one of the better ones, considering the sycophancy shown by Benny Johnson. But for Steve Bannon to even still show his face on fucking camera after what we know about him, his involvement, his relationship, and him trying to rehabilitate Jeffrey Epstein's image after, again, everything that was known about Jeffrey Epstein, the fact that he has the fucking balls to show his face on camera just goes to show how much further we still have to go in fucking holding people accountable for these fucking files, okay? That is proof right there that what we've seen so far in the investigations, the resignations, ain't shit, okay? We're not happy about it. That's not the end of the line. That shouldn't even be the fucking beginning. That should be the intro, okay? That should be the prequel to the fucking justice and accountability that we've seen. But this motherfucker showing his face on camera still and being out there being like, well, this isn't what the 2024 election campaign was all. He fucking helped in the campaign, didn't he? I'm sure he had just as much to do with that campaign as anybody else in this regard. So for him to be like surprised and shit is just kind of fucking stupid. And again, the fact that he's even got a show still just goes to show how much further we need to go as far as investigations into the Epstein files and holding people accountable. Again, I'll go back.
I was promised that this wouldn't turn into a larger regional conflict. It's hard to believe it. It's hard to believe that at this point.
He was the No More Endless Wars candidate in 2016 and 2024, particularly, and this looks like an open.
This is not.
Again, they just kind of goes on to repeat itself. But you can see Benny Johnson clutching his little pearls there, having a difficult time, very difficult time describing to his viewers exactly what they're seeing right now and what's to come from it. Here's another one that I wanted to dive into too. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but to kind of go with the ever-growing cost of war and the ever-growing corruption of this fucking regime, The $10 billion lawsuits, the extravagant fucking jets bought, the different planes, the different, the modes of transportation, the private jet usage, all of this thing. And that's not even to scratch the surface of the corruption by this regime. Well, here's Pete Hegseth, again, above and beyond everything that was spending in the war with Iran, talking about how they spent $93 billion. $93 billion. Check this out. So this is an article by the New Republic. Goes on, and I'll make this a little bigger on your screen in case you want to read along with it. There we go. Can you see it? And I'll even hop out of the way while we're reading it. That way you guys can get a good view. So it goes on to say here, the Pentagon spent more money in September than the end of the 2025 fiscal year than it had in any other year since 2008. But a good chunk of the budget wasn't used for anything that can be considered pertinent military expense. The Defense Department burned through $93 billion that month alone. I'm sorry. Just sit back for a second. Sit back for a second, right? Think to yourself all of the problems that we now face in this country, okay? The homelessness, the veterans crisis that is faced in this country, the healthcare crisis, just the homes, as far as people being able to afford homes by itself, the stripping of rights of women in this country, the brutality that we've seen from ICE and DHS and Americans being killed in broad daylight on the streets of America. And the problems go on. The list is too long to even list at this point. But we have the Defense Department burning through $93 billion in a month, signing checks left and right in order to dry up its congressionally allocated budget, according to a recent analysis by the government watchdog Open the Books. There is pressure to spend. If the federal agencies don't use the entirety of their budget by the end of the fiscal year, they'll use access to that cash forever, potentially putting themselves in a situation where they have to request a reduced budget for the following year. But the Pentagon's budget, long list of luxuries, is hardly defensible. So here's some of the shit that they bought. Some of the frivolous September purchases made under Secretary Pete Hegseth include a $100,000 piano, $98,329 for a grand piano for the Air Force Chief Staff Home. Okay, $5.3 million for Apple devices such as new iPads, an astronomical amount of shellfish, including $2 million for Alaskan kidney crab, and $6.9 million worth of lobster tail. Lobster tail is apparently a favorite of Pete Hegseth's Pentagon. The department spent more than $7.4 million on the luxury item in March, May, June, and October. And other pricey food purchases, the government decided to drop $15.1 million for ribeye steak, again, just in September, $124,000 for ice cream machines, $139,224 on 272 orders of donuts. Weeks later, millions of Americans would lose their SNAP benefits amid the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. More still stand to lose eligibility to the food assistance program thanks to Republican crusade that added stricter work requirements to the program, piling on paperwork and documentation mandates. One of the largest bulk expenditures was just for furniture, which for the Pentagon decided to shell out $225 million. That included $12,000 for fruit basket stands and checks totaling more than $60,000 for Herman Miller recliners. All in all, the agency spent more on furniture in 2025 than it had over a decade before that. In the last 5 days of September alone, the department blew through $50.1 billion on just grants and contracts. Okay? So talking about government expenditures, talking about wasteful spending, talking about absolute fucking debauchery as far as throwing senseless billions of dollars away when we have, again, any number of problems we need to fix in this fucking country. I mean, if this doesn't go to show you, again, the blatant corruption of the fucking administration, the blatant disregard for the plight of the American people, and I'm sure there's blatant instances that we could talk about going back generations. But again, this is what we're dealing with right now. This is the money that we're dealing with right now. And this is what we're talking about right now. So again, to see this type of figure being spent in 1 month by one federal fucking agency on pianos, furniture, lobster tails. I mean, talk about like having, like Hitler up in his chalet throwing these fancy parties while his soldiers die on the fucking Russian front, right? and in France and in multiple fucking nations at that point in time. Talk about having like, Stalin and the Stalin parties that they used to throw for the hierarchy. Meanwhile, millions and millions and millions of Russians and Soviets were starving to death or fighting, in remote corners of the fucking planet, dying in the front lines. Like, this is what it's come down to. Like furries dancing in fucking champagne cups at Mar-a-Lago. 20 fucking $1 billion on lobster tails, king crabs. Meanwhile, you guys can't fucking fill your gas tank with gas. You guys are trying to figure out, how you're going to get through the day. Feeding yourselves and putting gas in the tank and paying for the babysitter and getting your kid to his soccer practice, right? And paying for his fucking school trip that's coming up and paying for your health care and paying for your parents' health care, whatever it may be. While you're struggling along, these motherfuckers are having the time of their lives, drowning in lobster tail and king crab, spending $100,000 on a fucking piano that'll never be fucking played. But again, if you wonder why the American people, you wonder why we're pissed off and ready to fucking, ready to fight back at this moment in time right now. That's why. And that's why. And that, again, that's not the first circumstance, the first instance that we've seen of corruption and kind of the misuse of funds like that. But again, all right, let's dive into, hold on. Sorry, sneeze attack. My apologies. God damn, I hate sneezing. Hate it. Worse than anything. All right, anyway, let's dive into Dim Fool here because I feel like this is just one of the more telling aspects of things that we've gone over or had to gone over here, where Dim Fool has gone from being like Donald Trump is the savior, Kamala Harris is the devil. Like, we can't possibly have another demon rat in office. Donald Trump has to take over elections. He has to be the Lord and Savior in there. He's going to be the president of peace. He's going to lower the prices of everything. He's going to make everything affordable again. So now, cut to Tim Pool, March 2026. And what's he reporting on? Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a look. Is he still like kind of applauding? Is he still representing the Trump administration like he was before they got into office and then in the lead up to the election? Is he still fully behind it? Let's see.
With the Iran war heating up, the Strait of Hormuz still closed, gas prices expected to skyrocket. The U.S.
Who's responsible for that again? Who made that happen? Who was the guy that ultimately pressed the button, the go button on that one? Who was the guy? He's a big orange fat fuck. Looks like he's dying by the day. Looks like he's an orange left out in the sun in California way too long and hasn't seen moisture in about fucking 87 years. There was a guy, I forget his name, Trump, something Trump, he was involved. I think you may know him. You might have voted for him, actually.
Will not tolerate the Iranian government or military shutting down 20% of U.S. oil and natural gas trade. This means it's likely going to get much, much more hot. But the question...
So what he's trying to say is your life is going to get much more fucking chaotic. It's about to kick off in a way we couldn't have predicted in the Middle East right now. The instability and the destabilization has been fucking set in motion, and it's going to get worse long before it gets better. That's Tim Pool trying to report from the outside like he has nothing to do with this, like he has no involvement, no responsibility, like he doesn't take any blame for this whatsoever of getting us in this position. Nothing. Doesn't have to worry about it. But again, he's just reporting from the outside. It's something that you need to know. But he thinks that we're going to be like, Tim, you think we don't understand the connection here and like the insanity of just about a year ago, just over a year ago, and what you were saying about Donald Trump and what you're having to report today in March of 2026? I find it amusing because what he's reporting on, in case you haven't been up to speed on this story, is the fact that multiple officials, multiple people in Trump's cabinet have ordered World War III bunkers from this guy that you're seeing here on your screen, and they've been demanding those. They've been calling to see, hey, are those things ready yet? Because we might need them sooner than later. Okay, just to kind of give you a little insight as to the instability even felt inside of our own government right now. We've had ample reports of different government officials using different bunkers and facilities to keep themselves safe at this point. Again, just kind of leads to the public sentiment that everything's not okay when you see this type of shit. But here he is again, Tim Pool, having to, in March again, 2026, just a year or so later after endorsing the shit out of Donald Trump, talk about how people in his cabinet are now having to build World War III bunkers. That's where we've gone in about a year.
Everyone's mind is, are we in World War III now that we've got the Gulf in chaos already, the war with Russia and Ukraine, Venezuela, people are waiting with bated.
It's funny. He hasn't mentioned anybody that's responsible for that. Like, he hasn't mentioned like the leadership's name, like what this regime, like the guy that they're led by at this point and who's responsible for basically every fucking thing that he just mentioned. See how he's not like making that connection? Like, this is something that like is just, it's probably the main through line in all of the videos that we watch. Like, from the Epstein files to the Charlie Kirk murder to, the Venezuela incident to war with Iran. It's like the people that are able or willing to, in some point, call this out, try to do it and remove themselves from the accountability that they have for getting us in this situation. And on top of that, they have the complete inability to name Donald Trump as being the responsible party, as being the main figurehead, attached to, again, all of the shit he just talked about, the cover-up of the Epstein files. Like, they're more than happy to call out Pam Bondi, more than happy to talk shit about Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, but they just don't ever go that next step in being like, to try to actually tie the laces, to actually fucking connect the dots and be like, why would Pam Bondi be doing what she's doing? Why would Kash Patel be doing what he's doing? Why would Dan Bongino do what he failed to do, I guess, while he was in there? Like, it was only one person that you could possibly look at that has the power, that has the, the motive, that had the relationship with Epstein, that could tell them to cover this up. But they just refuse to do it. And they make this seem like, oh, we have, and we were there calling that shit out, right? Because they have these videos calling out Bondi and the rest of them. But it's like, no, not so fast there, Chief. No. You don't get to fucking play us like that. We understand that you failed on every regard at every opportunity to call out Trump like you should have. And this was basically you just trying to detach yourself from responsibility of what we're seeing right now and kind of report this from fucking the 30,000 viewpoint, right? The foot viewpoint at this point. No. You're right alongside Donald Trump in this. You push the button alongside Donald Trump to initiate the Iran war. You have fucking just as much responsibility and accountability that you should see from this as anybody else in this administration. Because you helped just as much as anybody on the right, as far as a fucking Republican mouthpiece, a political commentator, to help get this guy elected. So you're not just going to fucking waltz and back, moonwalk away from this like you have no fucking culpability, like you're in no way responsible, and we're just going to take your reporting at face value here. Like, oh shit, who saw this coming,
Breath to see. Will China make a move on Taiwan? Will that be the moment by which we are officially in World War III? Or, my friends, as many world leaders have already stated, is World War III now? Well, one of the most interesting stories
again, from the president of peace to is World War III now in just about a year is fucking diabolical. Okay. That is wild shit. Like, I know that these people love to flip flop. They have no fucking, they have no questions about, being a hypocrite or contradicting themselves whatsoever. But that's wild shit. Okay. To go from the president of peace, no new wars, to are we in World War III right now in about a year is fucking crazy. That's crazy shit. Okay. You'd have to be like off your rocker in order to be like not notice the difference, the shift in less than a year, or just about a year at this point, maybe a little over, obviously. But it's like at this point, do not see what you were saying a year ago and what you're having to report now. And you should be coming out with the biggest apology video, being like, I am so fucking sorry. I was so wrong. I'm an absolute twat. I'm an idiot. I'm gullible. I'll never fucking, talk about politics again because I believe this guy's bullshit. And look at where we are now. Nope, he's doing it like everything's hunky-dory, and he's just reporting on this like he's any old journalist that has no fucking, no horse in the race, no dog in the fight,
I've seen in a minute, is that there is a guy who builds nuclear bunkers to survive the apocalypse, who said he's got 2 high-level Trump cabinet members who are asking him, when is my bunker going to be ready?
From the president of peace to fucking bunker, apocalypse bunkers. I mean, that's where we've come, guys. That's how far we've traveled down this road, right? from fucking the no new wars, the president of peace, everything will be cheaper, to everything is 3 times, 4 times as expensive. And are we about to see the apocalypse? You know? And I know it's not funny. It's not funny. But again, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And at this point, we've shed fucking quite enough tears on these idiots' behalf. So at this point, I got nothing left. I got nothing left but fucking laughter. It's like, bro, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you're saying? Is that beanie really squeezing that head that tight? Well, you can't recollect, you can't recall, just over a year ago when you were like, this is going to be great. This is going to be fan-fucking-tastic. Thank God Kamala didn't get in. We would have really been screwed if Kamala got in, right? Thank God Trump's in there. Shit's going to be cheaper. We're going to be able to afford homes. We're going to the gas prices are going to be nickels. It's going to be fantastic. And then cut to Tim Pool, March 12th, 2026. Hey, did you know that people in the Trump cabinet are building apocalypse bunkers? They got World War III bunkers. And not only that, but they're demanding them to be finished like post-haste. They're not even fucking around or waiting around for them to be finished. They want them done now. It's like, okay. How do you combat that? How do you go against that as far as political commentary? Like, does that not speak for itself? Like, do I need to say anything at that point?
Now, me, myself, my friends, I actually have a stake in a survival camp. I don't know if the right way to describe.
Of course you do. Of fucking course you do. So what is this? In actuality, you're going to change this from being the story that the government now is building apocalypse bunkers to, hey, let me turn this into an ad for the shelter company that I'm affiliated with. Get the fuck out of here.
Describe it as. But there is a company called Fortitude Ranch, for which I am a small investor.
Jesus Christ.
And my understanding is that many of the people who seek out emergency survival shelters work in military and intelligence. And it's probably because, well, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Maybe we don't need to be so freaked out. But when you are on the front lines of this, in terms of the news and information, the literal war, you're probably thinking,
I'm sorry. Are you suggesting that we shouldn't be freaked out? We shouldn't question? We shouldn't kind of be like, hey, what the fuck's going on when people in our government are demanding their apocalypse bunker be finished, right? When people that are supposed to be, I don't know, kind of helping the American people and, for lack of a better term, saving the planet, as far as, their fucking positions are concerned, are now building World War III bunkers. At this point, you just know nothing that should kind of, stir up any feathers, nothing that should ruffle a feather or two.
Happen at any moment. And so when you have Trump cabinet members contacting this guy saying, when is my bunker going to be ready? You have to wonder about the conversations that are happening behind the scenes in the Trump administration.
And also the morons that let them get there. Huh? Right? Shouldn't that be another question? Man, we should really fucking take a real hard, deep, long look at the fucking morons that voted for this fucking government. Because boy, oh boy, did they fuck us. Huh? Boy, oh boy, are they responsible for fucking some serious damage to this country. And I feel like I'm looking at one right now. Right? Wouldn't that be a question we need to ask? If we're like, all of a sudden, like, we should be asking questions about the conversations going on behind the scenes if this is taking place. Like, who could have seen this coming? I don't know. Maybe everybody that warned you about this exact fucking thing for the last 10 years. Or if you want to, go after his first term for the last fucking, at least 6 years. You know what I mean? It's like, maybe we told you a thing or two about that. Maybe you should have listened. I don't know. Maybe even we didn't see it getting this bad, but we did tell you it wasn't going to be good. I know that fucking much.
Fears of potential retaliation. Maybe China enters the war formally, and then, oh boy, and then it is World War III. But there's more to this. Recently, Carolyn Levitt was asked about the potential for a military draft and whether or not that was on or off the table.
How's it going, Tim Pool? How is it fucking going, Tim Pool? Tim Pool's latest video about a draft possibly being instated in the United States, and also the fact that our government is building shelters for the apocalypse. How's things going in your government, Tim? Huh? How'd your vote go? You happy about that vote? Did that vote go the way you thought it was going to go? Huh? Did you think at this point, about a year on into this administration, this is what you'd be talking about? Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, I hate to say I told you so, but fuck you, Tim. We told you so, you dumb bastard. We fucking told you. We did. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We fucking told you, and you decided to steam on ahead with the Russian rubles, with the old tenant money, doing the bidding of this fucking regime, and look at where you got us. Look at where you got us, you fucking bald, fat, short prick. Goddamn. All right, let's see what else you got for us.
Which Carolyn Levitt said this president won't take anything off the table. Now, of course, my friends, this may just be typical Donald Trump administration kind of rhetoric.
Yeah, I mean, typical rhetoric you always hear about military drafts, apocalypse bunkers, regime change that doesn't end up being regime change. You know, the amount of troops we have in the Middle East, the destabilization, the amount of civilians that have been killed, the amount of money that we've spent. All the time you hear that thing. It happens every day. We probably shouldn't even think twice about it. Don't worry about what you're paying at the pump. Once again, that's what these Republicans and fucking idiots want you to get through your thick skulls, guys, is just don't worry about it, right? We're in the victory. We're in the victory right now. You just can't feel it. Don't worry about it.
Not get me to say something we don't know. We're not going to say anything. Trump has talked about it before. You come to me and ask me my strategies and plans. I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not playing that. We got any?
Yeah, Tim, because he fucking has none, doofus. You fucking dope. You don't still at this point think he has some like main strategy that he's not fucking telling you about, right? You don't think you're now reporting on World War III bunkers being bought by people in Trump's cabinet. You don't think you're actively reporting on a possible draft being initiated in the United States again because Donald Trump has some fucking huge plan that he just hasn't enacted or told the United States about yet. Please tell me that's not what you're fucking coming through right now and saying. Because Jesus Christ, at what point are you going to wake the fuck up? If World War III and the possibility for it, if fucking apocalypse bunk is being purchased by the government right now that you put into place, if the draft being initiated in the United States isn't enough for you to be like, hey, maybe this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe we fucked up on our vote at this point. Isn't enough for you to do that, then what the fuck is going to do it? Okay, what the fuck is going to get you to take that beanie off, to let some fresh air hit the fucking top of your dome piece, to maybe have an intelligent thought actually sparked in that fucking cavernous fucking empty dome that's sitting on top of your fucking ugly neck? God damn, Tim. Holy shit. Yeah, he's got some big overarching plan. He just hasn't told anybody yet. Of course, if a reporter asks, he's not going to tell him because, of course, he's got some, whiskey playing in a smoke-filled, cigar-filled fucking room in the background going on. He just hasn't told anybody yet. It's going to happen any day yet, though.
Option that we need. The argument being that if Iran, China, Russia, or anyone else hears Trump says we will not draft, they may think we can apply that leverage. That means they won't have the manpower. Does this mean Trump will actually draft anybody? Probably not. That being said,
did you put it past the fucking guy at this point? Did you think we were going to be involved in World War III a year on to his second regime? Is that something you predicted? So maybe we'll leave the fucking predictions to other people there, Timbo. Maybe we should fucking just leave you in the corner considering you. I think you were the one that also predicted like the 50-state fucking sweep by Donald Trump in his first term. Wasn't that this asshole too? Was that a different asshole? It was one asshole, I know.
People are freaking out now because you've got talk of potentially drafting young Americans. And let's just be real. You're not going to get anybody in Gen Z to be effectively drafted. Sorry. These are the ends of the glory days, my friends, because you're either going to have some fat, lefty, progressive, short, Weasley guy.
Right, what are you saying, that they're smart enough not to be used as a political pawn or a political weapon by Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu? You mean they're not willing to risk their lives to go fight and die for a fucking Israeli wish list to keep Benjamin Netanyahu from facing accountability, not only in his own country, but on the international stage for his war crimes? Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me people have smartened up and we've seen the cooperation, we've seen the money that we've sent over there, we've seen the fucking nothing that we get in return, we see the wars that we get involved into, we see the fucking control over our own politicians on both goddamn sides of the aisle that have been fucking perpetrated by the Israeli lobby. What do we get for the money that we're sending over there, huh? Anybody? What do we get for the fucking greatest ally, supposedly? What do they do for us? What have you done for us lately, motherfuckers? Besides drag us into war, besides commit fucking genocide. What else? What do we got here? So you're saying people are smarter than that now? Kids have finally smartened up and said, hey, I'm not going to go fight in a fucking distant land for shit that doesn't fucking make sense. for something that I can't believe in, for something that I don't believe in and can't get behind? You think that, you know, you're saying that like it's a problem. I think that means that people are smartening the fuck up, okay? I think that gives us a bright future, if you ask me. I think we got a bunch of fucking bright individuals. If that's the decision that they're making, I'm with them, okay? I second their decision.
Or you're going to have some anti-Israel right-wing Gen Z guy, and neither of which are going to be effective draftees for your war. But it is interesting to see this.
You would, Tim? You'd be used as a fucking cannonball, you stupid son of a bitch.
Conversation and this rhetoric nonetheless. So let us, my friends, dive into what is going on. The question of
please
World
do.
War
Let us know
III,
what's happening.
The responses to the threat of the draft, and, my friends, an omen.
Fuck you. We're not your friends. Shut up.
That's right. Strange sea beasts have washed up on the shores of Mexico, indicating a dark time is to come.
I mean, and just if you're curious how seriously Tim is actually taking this situation, look no further than the interjection of sea monsters at the end of the World War III bunker being purchased by Donald Trump's cabinet video. In case you're wondering how deadly seriously he's taken this whole thing and how much involvement and accountability he's taken for it. You know what I mean?
It's the doomsday fish, I guess. And then, you know, let's just be real. Civil war, of course, has never left the table. And
the doomsday fish. Isn't that what they call the smell in your studio? Isn't that what the aroma in your studio is called? The doomsday fish scent? No, I thought I heard that before.
Deep concerns about what just happened over the weekend with this Islamic terror attack. While we're talking about foreign conflict and war, reports are emerging now that Iran is activating sleeper cells. We have already just seen.
Here's Tim's job. There he is. There's the second half of Tim's job. Scare the shit out of everybody. Make it seem like the sleeper cells have been activated. Make it seem like we have something to rally around. You know, like the threats against the West Coast of California that also in the articles that you read. Well, there's actually been no credible evidence to suggest no threats made by that, but you know, people are speculating. But anyway, fucking dim fool here goes on to do some more propaganda. What time do we got? We got a couple more minutes. Let's see if we can dive into, because I did see this. I did see this as I was jumping on. Is there any more updates about what was taking place in Michigan, guys? I didn't really have too much information before I came on, so I didn't want to kind of speculate on what was happening. But let me just see if there's been any updates as to the active shooter that was happening at the Michigan synagogue there. Let me see here. This was 1 minute ago. Let's see what this.
Unconfirmed. We don't know that yet. But this is also viewer video from near that scene. So this is going to give you a good look at the police response that was coming. Clearly, anyone who lives nearby probably has heard, and is continuing to hear sirens.
And I think this is the initial coverage
there.
Yeah, as Lauren was saying, Plymouth.
This isn't live or anything, so I think this is just the initial coverage. I think this is kind of their 2 or 2.5 hour broadcast. Let's see if we can just jump to more recent.
To reunify, where the parents can respond and pick up their children, etc. So that was.
Oh, so the suspect is dead.
Worked out. If not, you pick a spot nearby that's safe, that's easy to access to, where you can bring.
And it says he was taken out by a security guard there.
And that everyone can be picked up by their parents.
George Kalina, Evie Pamporis, Jim Kavanaugh, thank you all so much. And stay with us, because still to come, we're going to talk about window.
Was there let me see, was there like a toll related to this? Was there anything else reported as far as people injured? Again, like I said, this was kind of just being reported as I was putting the show together and hopping on. Suspect dead, security guard hurt in Michigan synagogue attack. I don't see anything as far as deaths reported. Security guard hit by car. Suspect is dead in Temple shooting.
Temple Israel is, as we say,
police responding to attack. So again, I don't think there's been any other updates as far as that's concerned. Let me know in the chat if I'm wrong on that, because again, you guys know how quickly these kind of updates change and things change as far as these stories are concerned. Children are in school, right?
Massive the school is.
Yes.
You know, Jason,
Karen says this is the second one today. Nobody else is hurt, says Corrine. That's always good to see.
Most recently at the airport, where they're a safety measure, but they're not full stop. We saw a car go through the bollards at DTW Airport, Metro Airport, and go right inside.
The other one was earlier in Detroit, says Karen as well. Yeah, they got all the kids out, all the teachers out. The security guard was hurt, but nobody else. Thank you, Corrine. Appreciate that.
We've also been told that security.
Appreciate that. Just to kind of get everybody filled in. I know you guys were mentioning that.
Folks who
go there.
I know you guys were mentioning that in the chat. And like I said, I did see it just as I was kind of coming on and putting the show together, but I didn't have really too much information as far as that was concerned. So just to kind of get everybody up to speed on what took place there in Bloomfield, Michigan. Apparently police responding to an attack at the temple. The shooter is down. The shooter is deceased as far as been reported. And, you know, as far as the chat is telling me, nobody else was kind of killed or injured in that. So obviously a good thing to see that the guy was taken out and nobody else was hurt, especially in that situation when there's kids involved. You know, just another day in the United States, ladies and gentlemen, just another day in the old US of A, where not only are we dealing with corruption, not only are we dealing with war, not only are we dealing with gun violence, not only are we dealing with ICE, not only are we dealing with a fucking a problem, the problems that have, risen with NATO and the attacks on Greenland and Mexico and Cuba's next. But, you know, obviously the everyday normal shit that would have to be continuously reported on in this country as well. So, terrible shit, obviously terrible fucking shit. But unless somebody steps up and wants to do something about it, and it sure as fuck ain't going to be this regime, we're going to continue to see shit just like that take place in this country. So, I might actually I actually think that I have too much stuff pulled up for the show. And then it turns out that it seems like we kind of timed it perfectly as far as that's concerned. I don't think we missed anything. I don't think there was anything that we had to cover. What do you say let's see here if there's anything that we missed as far as this is concerned. Let's do an update. See if there's any other stories that we missed or anything else that we need to cover as far as this is concerned. And then if not, I can get you guys out here a couple minutes early. That's always good on a Thursday. As the sun's shining. Not so much around here, but, it's not raining or snowing, so that's good. So this was 59 minutes ago. No one else other than the lightly injured security guard and the deceased suspect was hurt in the attack on the Reform Jewish Synagogue in Bloomfield, Michigan. So there's an update for what we were just talking about as well. According to CNN, reported explosives described as mortars were seen in the back of a now dead suspect's car that rammed into the Reformed Jewish Synagogue in Bloomfield, Michigan. Security guard who was injured was struck by the car in the initial ramming and was rushed to the hospital and is reportedly in good condition. Per CNN, a visible fire can be seen at the location after the attack. So again, I don't know if that has been further corroborated or any updates have been made to that, but this is just what kind of went out at the time here. You can see the reports and the updates coming in there. See if there's anything as far as the attacks coming from or against Iran. This was an hour ago. The Saudi Arabian Ministry of Defense announced that they had intercepted 12 Iranian drones headed towards the highly profitable Shaba oil field. Again, not only depicting the ongoing attacks from the Iranian side, but also their ability to target what is specific targets, specific oil fields still to this time. The Saudi Arabian ministry announced that they tracked and intercepted an Iranian ballistic missile headed towards Prince Sultan Air Base. The United Arab Emirates has announced that they engaged 10 Iranian ballistic missiles and 26 Iranian ballistic missiles in the past 24 hours. That's crazy. Didn't Jesse Waters say that they've only launched 9 total? That's crazy. Those numbers don't seem to add up there. Again, kind of depicting the difference in information that you're getting from our government, our regime, and what's actually taking place on the ground and being reported by other outlets. The General Staff of the Kuwaiti Armed Forces confirms that air defenses are currently responding to hostile missile and drone threats. That was 2 hours ago. So clearly there has been an uptick or at least a continuation of the missile and drone launches by Iran on the different bases, on the different oil fields, on the different shipping containers, the container ships, excuse me. This is the Israeli Defense Force has released footage of strikes recently on security checkpoints and personnel in Tehran. A paramilitary volunteer militia with the Iranian Islamic Revolutionary Guard. But yeah, I think that's where we started on the show earlier. So I think that's pretty much us catching up to speed there as far as what's been taking place. I'm sure there'll be no shortage of things to cover for tomorrow. What do you say we just take a look at this real quick before we end the show to see exactly where we're at as far as, again, the Iran cost ticker is concerned. I'm sure that the values and the cost is exponentially higher than this, considering the speculation in the reports that is somewhere near upwards of $3 billion a day we're spending on this war. This is only going for, judging and calculating for $1 billion a day. So again, you can see how much that would go up exponentially if we did the correct calculations, I'm sure. The death toll, let me see. Did they revamp anything? No. So still the same tolls going on there. But 17,961,930,40,50,60,70 million and 12 days, 15 hours, 53 minutes and 17 seconds. That is what we're spending. Put that on top of this that we talked about, Pete Kegseth and his spending over there at the Pentagon of more than $93 billion. And I believe that is just in the month of September, if you can actually fucking believe that. Again, above and beyond the equipment that we've lost, the expenditures, and the hit to the wallet of the United States taxpayer here as far as gas prices, energy prices are concerned. So again, we're going to be doing the best we can to try to keep our nose to the grindstone, keep up to speed and up to date on everything that's been happening. Again, we don't do it with sponsors. We don't do it with, ads. We don't do it with, trying to sell you guys anything or make you guys come out of pocket to see any content. We try to do this the right way, only with the kind contributions and, the generous donations that you guys give this channel, either via Venmo or, if you just give a super chat or if you sign up for a YouTube membership, whatever it may be, all of the things go just as far to help this channel stay chugging along and growing. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, and please help us get there. Make sure if you guys are not subscribed that you are subscribed. If you find yourself coming back, if you find yourself enjoying the chat, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, give us a like, hit a comment on the video when it posts, after it posts, share an emoji in the chat, all the good things that help the algorithm know that we're here and that you guys are engaged. What do you say we get into thanking some people here for their contributions? If anybody was kind enough to send over a Venmo. Let me see if we can congratulate and highlight you guys. Of course, their work, because you guys are always fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, MR, for your mix of news and humor. We all face all the world's travesties. Thank you so much. Like I said, it's easier when we do it together. If you guys can find a like-minded community, some really good people in there that have good conversations, that don't agree on everything, but, are still kind of on the same side of history still. We can have those in-depth conversations that, that make us better inevitably, but we also need to recognize that we have built a really good community here, and that it is very beneficial to a lot of people, and that you guys are directly responsible for that. So I appreciate you. Thank you, MR. Who's next on the list here today? Thank you to Tom. Oh, thank you, Tom. Holy shit. Thank you so much for your incredibly kind contribution, my man. Man, I really hate when I miss shows. That's okay, dude. It's okay. I tell you, never anybody should be apologetic for missing a show or having stuff going on in your daily life. I mean, come on. We're all humans. We all have stuff going on. We all have difficulties. We all have, things to deal with. So don't apologize, YouTube. It's always going to be up. You can watch the show anytime you want. But please don't feel like you have the need to apologize for not catching the show live. That's why it's up there. That's why you guys can view it at any time. Thank you, Nancy, as well. Congratulations to Bicycle Mike as well for his recovery, for him being cancer-free. Thank you to Cindy Young. For the 10, thank you. She says blunt politics. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dame. Why not? Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Nancy. Again, people for the last couple days, contributing to the show. Again, warmest wishes and good vibes being sent out to Marsha for her surgery today. Hopefully, we get some good news, some updates as soon as possible on how she's doing, and I'll be sure to relay that to the chat. So appreciate you guys for stepping up once again where it is needed in the chat. You guys are fantastic at taking care of each other. You guys are fantastic. And obviously the podcasts that you decide to watch, if I do say so myself, and obviously being on the right side of history. I can't thank you guys enough. But let's get into thanking everybody here on the YouTube side of things. Thank you, JD, starting it off today with a $5 contribution for the profanity bonus. Thank you, JD, you unbelievable human being. You can't thank you guys enough for everything that you do continuously for the show. JD, obviously a huge and valued member of the community. So we appreciate you, brother. Hope you have a good day. Bicycle Mike, speaking of the devil, there he is right there. Thank you for the $2 contribution, my friend. Shout out to you. Iran, please release the files. Amen. Whoever's got the fucking files, release the goddamn files. Appreciate you, Bicycle Mike. And again, congratulations on again, everything you've been able to achieve. We're right there with you, and we'll continue to be right there with you, Mike. So appreciate you, my friend. Thank you, Jordan. Yesterday, I paid $2.55 per liter for P98 in U.S. terms. That's the equivalent of $6.85 per gallon. Here in Australia, we have 34 days of petrol reserves left. God damn, that doesn't sound like a good situation to be in. That doesn't sound so. In the Aussie dollars, $2.55 per liter for P98. Now, is P98 would that be super, or would that be just the regular unleaded in Australia? Let me see if I can go over to the comments and see if you're still here. Would that be kind of like the high grade stuff, or would that be kind of like the normal stuff over there? Just curious how you guys do things, if you're still in here anyway. But I do appreciate you for your 10 Aussie. Appreciate the 10 Aussie there. Fair income. But $6.85, I wouldn't want to be fucking paying that. I can tell you that. Jordan says, yes, that's high grade. Okay. I just want to see if we're making sure we're doing the correct comparisons there. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for everything, for your contributions, for the insight, for letting us know. Hopefully that doesn't last too long. Again, I don't want to see any of you guys be struggling out there. I know people were struggling to begin with, and this added on top is just making it 10 times worse. So, Nola, thank you so much for your contributions as well. Thank you for the 10. Shout out to you. Hope you're having a great day. Michael, thank you so much for the 5. Appreciate the super sticker, my friend. Appreciate you and everything that you do, all the contributions. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day as well. Thank you, Stephanie, here for the $1 contribution. Shout out to you, my friend. Hope you're having a great day. Cackistocracy refers to a government run by the worst, least qualified, and most unscrupulous citizens. Absolutely, which is exactly what we're facing right now. Spot on, Jordan. What up, boy? Hey, what's going on, my brother? Thank you so much for being here. 15 goddamn months, you fantastic bastard, you. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being here and all your contributions. Very valued member of the fam there. Thank you so much to Tom. Again, thank you for becoming a new member. Thank you for also being a member for 14 months. Again, I'm still confused on how that works, but thank you so much for everything that you do. It's awesome to see that you've been here for that long and contributing and being a part of the show. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to Kunda Lunatic as well. Wrapping it up today for the 5 gifted memberships. You are fantastic. Can't thank you all enough for everything that you've done for this show, all the help that you've shown me, all the support, all the kind words, all the shows of appreciation, all the donations. It really goes a long way in helping. And again, we're trying to get there to 20,000 subscribers. We're trying to get this to, being sustainable by any stretch of the imagination. So hopefully by the time we crack 20, we'll kind of be cracking the sustainability marker as far as this show is concerned, because it's a tough roll. It's a slow roll. Politics ain't the, obviously isn't the most profitable venture that you could be involved in. So again, that's why we rely upon you guys watching the show and contributing. I do appreciate you guys for recognizing the way we go about doing things and the generosity that is needed in order to keep this functioning. Again, I hate doing the self-promotional aspect of this, but it is just a necessary evil of what we do here. Again, I found it necessary enough to forego what could have been a lucrative plumbing career, because I found politics to be absolutely more important. And no matter what I did in my life, if the government was going to go to war, if they were going to spend trillions and trillions of dollars and strip me of my rights, it wouldn't matter what I did in my own life. So that's why I made the decision, the choice that I did. And I hope you guys can respect that on some level. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for the Friday show. As always, same time, same place, 2 o'clock here on the East Coast, 11 a.m. on the West Coast, and sometime in between that, if that's not where you live. But it's not my problem to figure that one out. Hit the notification bell, and you won't have the problem on figuring that out either. That'll tell you when I go live, when I put out the short videos, when I do videos in general. We've been trying to do more of the shorts, break up the show, do more content in general. So if you guys could follow me all on all of the social media platforms. And again, don't forget, if you signed up at patreon.com/BostonBrian, we do have the Zoom chats coming up both the 16th and the 26th. 16th is kind of like the Gen Pop, and then the 26th is for anybody signed up at the VIP level. We just kind of split it up that way. It's not too chaotic. I do appreciate everybody that shows up. And again, it's just a way to kind of get to know the people in the chat a little bit better, put a face behind the screen name, get better acquainted with people. We just kind of shoot the shit, talk about the weather, news, whatever you guys want to talk about, your pets. Again, we don't hide anything behind a paywall. That is about the only thing that you get. I appreciate you. I will see you tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Again, remember that. Hit that notification bell. I'm Boston Brian. This has been the Blunt Politics Podcast. A lot of shit we're going to have to cover. We're going to continuously be looking into all of the nonsense, all of the buffoonery, all of the idiocy that this fucking regime has taken us through. And I don't mean the Iranian regime. I mean the regime right here in the United States. So appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for the mods, everything that you do. Mark, I will figure that out, brother. I see a text coming through, and I'll see if we can figure that out. It was nothing on our end, I can tell you that. I can assure you that. So we'll figure it out, my brother. I appreciate you and all the other mods. You guys are fantastic, and thank you to the best chat on the internet right here at the Blunt Politics Podcast, the Bryantologist at the Church of Bryantology. Again, just to play on the cult that is MAGA. Again, I feel like I have to reiterate that every time it's said because I don't want anybody to take me seriously when I say it. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. I appreciate you guys. I'm out. Love you guys.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your. Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know. I've become an expert on guns. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? Venezuela. Did you just see Maduro? Venezuela.
The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice. Each year, approximately 13,000 people are killed in car accidents in Thailand.
An average guy who read public documents where the elite said they were going to enslave us and destroy America, and I'm not going to be like yuppie scum and deny the threat to my country. I'm going to fight back.
I didn't say mud, I said crud. You fall into some crud or something?
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful, give yourself some applause. It's so lovely, everyone's so lovely.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
To officially name undisputed, when did this come out? The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job!
For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. God bless the United States.